So here is our mission to begin with is 34. Let's fire through some answers here for 34. And like always, switch colors. You know, if you did a homework in pencil, switch to black or blue or something. And if you're getting new advice, let's fill in some good advice on these. Wait a second while people shuffle, and then we'll pick on you for number one. See what you think.
Me?
Yeah. What do you think?
1 is
Negative 1 is true.
then is 8.
H is true.
C is 5.
5 is true.
D is
B is true.
and A is 6.
E, we're looking for two different letters that are 3 away from I,
Oh.
or 3 away from 1. I mean,
That would be H and B.
disagree?
Oh, with
3
H
away
and
from the
C.
1. A, C, yes. Somebody, we'll jump Caleb in. 1E, what do you think? I and C is a winner. Why don't you roll for a little bit with number 2? 4 is true. B is 4. C is 5. D is 5. E is 5. F is 8. G, what we're going to want to do for G is copy what they have at the top of page 28. So at the top of page 28, there's a definition there for absolute value that did make one of the quizzes at one time. So what they had in mind for us to do there is just steal the definition from 28 to do G. Once we did that, they don't care if we do that again for H. For H, they're okay if we just have the X and put it in the bars. For I, they're going to have a 2X and put that in bars. And you have a choice. If you want to have the 2 and the X in bars, that's fine with me and them. That's the answer they wrote. I would consider it a better answer if you pulled the 2 out of the bars. The whole point of the bars is that you know things are going to be positive. You know that 2 is positive, so there's really no need to have the 2 in the bars. It's okay the way it is. So I, you have a 2, you have an X, you've got bars around either the X or both of them. Either way, it doesn't matter. J is going to be 0. And then let's see if anybody needs some help on 1, 2, what those are about. Anybody need guidance on 1, 2? Three is a number line, so we'll go to our next customer. Can you just read from left to right your letters? Like my leftmost letter is an L. Then there's a C that we already knew. Can you keep going there? So from left to right, L, C, and then keep talking.
K.
There's something between C and K. So we'll go to the next customer. Do you have anything between C and K? No? He's busy. Do you have anything between C and K? There is a D between the C and the K. The D was for negative root 12. You had to like create a space to put D. So we have L, C, D, K. Keep going. Yes? If you said E, yes? What was after the E? No. Is something different after the E? No. Do you have anything different after the E? We did LCD, KQE, and then we're trying to figure out who's next in that line. S is true. Keep going. Yes. 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 Which did you say? B. Yes. 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 All true. Yes. LCD. KQE, SPT, ABHRM. The trickiest ones were probably D, Q, and H, you had to make your own space for those. Those weren't the spaces that were pre-existing. You had to create a space for D's, Q's, and H's in there somewhere. We'll pick on you in the back. What do you think for 4? 1 is true. Not a regular 2, no. You have a thought on 4B? Back to the front.
I don't know where this one goes.
Okay.
Go 4.
Just go with root 2. Instead of using your calculator to like makes that happen, just they had a root 2. We can just go with root 2. That's simpler for our life. Keep going.
2.
2 is true.
2.
2 again is true.
10.
10 is true.
1.0.
Okay, that'll be root 3, same kind of thing. It's what you did is fine for homework, but like for a test, just leave it the simpler way. G is 4. H 3.
And
3 1/3 is true. 10 over 3 would be fine. 3.3 with a line on the 3 would be fine. Any of that would be fine. Keep going. Pi is good.
4.1.
Okay, that one, our best answer will be root 31 minus root 2. But again, if you broke out the calculator, no harm.
3.1.
Yeah, root 3 plus root 2 would be my ideal answer on that one.
6.1.
That works. 3 plus pi would be my ideal thing on that. Generally speaking, I'm anti-rounding, so when you round, you lose a little bit of it. Anytime you use your calculator, it kind of forces you to round with these rooty, pi-z sort of answers. So I'd rather just have pi plus this, or root plus that, or something like that. That was good. 5, you got some stuff on 5? 8 is true. 8 again is true. 3 in a row, 8s. 2 is good. 1 is good. Disagree there. Opinion on 5F?
I also know.
Okay. Anybody have a different opinion on 5F?
I want to do 5 minus root 2.
Yeah, root 5 minus root 2. The idea here is we want to subtract the numbers, make sure it's positive. If we put the bigger number first, we'd be good with that. So root 5 minus root 2 would be a win. Let's keep going with you on G.
And root 3 plus root 5.
Yeah, root 3 plus root 5 or root 5 plus root 3. Either way. That one, when we subtract, you'd get a little minus minus making plus kind of action. H is a tricky one.
I had x minus 1.
That's not bad, but not perfect. Does anybody have something that's better than x minus y? Y minus x would be equally as good or bad. Okay, so let's think about this. Subtracting is fussy. Why do we have to be a little bit picky about our subtracting stuff? Order matters, because if we go out of order, what kind of number might we get? Negative. And we're only supposed to get positives. So we could fix that on F by just putting the bigger one minus the littler one. If you go root 5 minus root 2 on 5F, bigger minus littler, you know that's positive. But on H, you don't know who's bigger or who's littler. So we need to do x minus y, or we need to do y minus x, but we really don't know what order to put that in because we really don't know who's bigger. What do we need on 5H to make sure we have a positive result? Bars. Yeah, so take that subtraction problem and set it inside a pair of bars, then you're sure it's a positive number. 5I is going to do a similar thing as kind of like back to 2I. Okay, we're going to subtract that stuff. Minus minus makes us add. You're getting something like 3A, but you have no idea if A is positive or negative or what A is. So you're going to need bars around the answer for 5I. Either around the A or around the whole 3A, it doesn't matter. But 5I is going to be 3A, and you'll need bars to make it positive. J is going to be 2x, and you'll need bars to make it positive. And then let's pause there again. Anybody up to 5 have something that you don't understand the strategy of how things are going?
Can you just repeat 4K for me?
4K? Root 3 plus root 2. Well, Anybody else? Repeats, questions, confusions, things that are,
So, I'm kind of confused on like 3.
okay. So 3 is like, you just have to take it one instruction at a time and just sort of go. So the first thing to realize is that those roots are all perfect squares. So when they have negative root 25, you might be better to just think of that as negative 5. You okay with that?
Yeah.
So when they tell you on A, drop in a B where the 3 would go, which of those roots is where 3 would go?
Positive 9.
Root 9, yeah. So root 9 spot, you'd put a B there.
Okay.
Then you move on to the next instruction. If P is non-negative and non-positive, what number would P have to be if it's not negative and it's not positive? 0. So P becomes a 0. And you just kind of go one instruction at a time. Some of the instructions are easier, some of the instructions are harder, but eventually you're going to get everything like filled in over time.
Okay.
So you understand what you're doing a little bit better now?
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to create a number. Like they say in part E, the H is root 12. Well, the number line as originally drawn didn't have a root 12. So you'd have to pencil in where root 12 goes and squeeze the H in between what was already there.
Okay.
Okay? Anybody else to 5? We skipped 6, and then some of these questions at the end get a little bit weirder. So if you weren't able to do the beginning 5, we need to help you out and figure that out, because that's more like what makes the test. We skipped 6. 7, 8, 9, is that what we did, 7, 8, 9? Did we do 10? No, 7, 8, 9. So 7, 8, 9 is a little bit weirder. I don't think that makes the test, so I wouldn't lose sleep over that, but it's always good to understand things. So 7A is not bad, I don't think. 7A, they just want us to figure out what the numbers are. 7A, it would be a 1, an x minus 4, and a y minus 4. What you had to figure out there was that the top group of numbers was always 4 less than the bottom group of numbers. So the top group, the 5 would become a 1, and you'd subtract 4 from the other things, x minus 4, y minus 4. For B, if you figured out the distances, they have 5, what are we here? I'd go y minus 5. And it's the same regardless of which scale you use. Both of the scales should give you a y minus 5. For C, the distance would be y minus x. For 8A, one thing's 8, the other thing's 1. For B, there's an A plus 3 and a B plus 3. C is a yes and a yes. And did the syllabus tell you to skip D and E? Yep, okay, so we're not doing those. 9A is a negative 2. B would be a negative x and a negative y. C is a 6. D is a negative 9.5. E would be x plus 2. But you'd have to throw it in bars, I believe, on this one because you're uncertain, depending on which scale you used. One scale's counting up and the other scale's counting down, and you're not really sure who the bigger number is depending on which way it's counting, because they ran up and down the same scale. So you need the bars there to just be sure you've got things in the right order. And then for the second part of E, there would be an x minus y or a y minus x. But you'd have to wrap it up in bars, because depending on whether you're doing the scale that's going up or the scale that's going down, you don't really know which number is bigger. So to guarantee positivity, you'd want to use the bars. One super highlight idea of this whole section is distance has to be positive. And if you get variables involved, you need bars involved, because the only way you can be sure that you have positives is to get bars when variables come to play. 7, 8, 9. question about 7, 8, 9, what they're, basically they just changed the numbering scheme. Like, if I went to my number line that's already on my wall and said, I'm in the mood to just add 2 to every number, would that make my number line any better or worse? No, it just changes the numbers. If I decided to make negative go right and positive go left, would that still function as a number line? Yeah, it just seems weird now to you. But that's what they were doing in 7, 8, 9. They had an existing coordinate system, and they're just like, let's add 3 to them all, and then figure out some new numbers where they go. Question on that page? Which postulate is it that tells you you can pick 0 to be anybody and you can pick positive to be any direction? Anybody remember from quiz the name of what that postulate was? That's the ruler placement postulate. So 7, 8, 9, 10 is stuff that's kind of like playing ruler placement postulate games with you, that you can renumber them if you're in the mood to. I doubt if that mood would ever strike you. Anybody, any kind of anythings from page 34 homework?
I guess so.
34 homework life, anybody? You done with your quiz? You pitch that up my way. To her. So let's do quiz answers just to make sure you have them. So if you took the quiz yesterday, your graded quiz was awaiting for you when you arrived back into the room. So let me do a quick run through of what this should have been, and you can jot down what they should have been. Someday these questions will all be back. There's another quiz next week that'll be a little bigger than this. It's like 37, I think, of our best words. These also all make the test. So let's just make sure we've got a sheet in mind. So 1, you'd want to say that A, B, and C are collinear, and you'd want to have an adding problem. AB plus BC equals AC. 3, you'd want to mention 2 points and 1 line, and you need the number 1 specifically in there somewhere. 2 points, 1 line. But we also need a sentence that makes sense. So something like, for every 2 points, there's exactly 1 line that contains them both, something like that. 4 is, you want the word union to start this definition off. It's the union of A and B and all the points between them. The union of A and B and all the points between them. 5 was length. 6 is the union of segment AB, which you could either write the word segment AB or you could put the little segment hat on AB. That's up to you. But the union of AB and all points C such that B is between A and C. And when I'm saying B is between A and C, this is the way I choose to write that. You don't have to make that choice. I just like abbreviations a lot. So when I say B is between A and C, I'm writing it with the abbreviation, not saying that all out. 7 is opposite rays. 8 is that B is between A and C. So again, I'm writing this because I like to abbreviate, but you can use words anytime you wish. And also AB equals BC. 10 is bisect. 11 is midpoint. 12, you'd want to have 2 dots, connect them, and then go beyond them and have arrows at both ends. 13, we'd want 2 dots, connect them, and call it a day. 14, we'd want to have 2 dots, so start at A, go through B, keep going beyond B, and have an arrowhead beyond B. 15, you'd want to have 2 dots, start at A, do not go toward B, go away from B in a whole other direction, and it's mainly a picture of empty spaces. 16, you'd have 2 points, A and B, start your drawing at B, go through A, keep going out the other side of A and have an arrow. 17, we'd have points for A and B, start your drawing at B, but don't go toward A. Leave a lot of empty space, all empty space in fact, in the middle. Run away from the A in the other direction and have an arrow. 18, we want AB and put the line hat on it. No dots involved in that picture. 12 to 17, I should see some dots. 18 to 21, there's no dots for these abbreviations. Segment AB is AB with that hat. Ray AB is AB with this hat. And then for G to be between, G is between, and then H and I, just pick which is on which side, it doesn't matter. Not making the quiz, but an important idea. Most of these things can be named or drawn backwards. What's the only one that's fussy? Rays. Rays are the only one that's fussy, because rays have a beginning or end point, and they go forever in the other direction. So you have to be careful the order of the letters on anything with rays, but the other one, if you get everything backward, no harm is done. 22, the thing that I drew the hat on, that's a set of points. The other thing is a number, and then the last one is the W. Repeats, questions, want more explanation, anything I can do to help you understand the 2-6B words better.
Can you repeat 11?
11 is, I said the wrong thing I think for that, or I didn't say it. It's the point plotting theorem. I think I might have skipped that one or said it wrong. 11 is the point plotting theorem. Did I say it wrong or did I skip it?
You said midpoint.
Okay, yeah, I was grading a quiz and not catching that mistake. My bad. One is A, B, and C are collinear, and AB plus BC equaled AC. Anybody else? Repeats, questions, things to explain better or differently? Hand that away. If your page 34 is needing some work on the 34, get me another day, no harm. If your page 34 is pretty good and you tried them all, you could go ahead and send down your 34 to add that to my collection. If you have any other homework that is now complete, that it's good and it's done and we're set on it, you could send that down too. But if you're sending a mishmash of other things, if the people at the ends could try to keep the papers separated, that does help my life. Now let's go to 42. So, yeah. Yeah, 18, if you're all the way done, I'd be ready to put a check on it someday. Anything you have that's done but doesn't have a red check, I'll need that at some point, be that now or be that later. For Monday, your project for Monday is working on the review packet that you've had for a while. I would look to do two things with that. One, fill in all the vocabulary. That'll be worth 25 points if you fill them all in. The second would be start to look at the homework problems that I say are my favorites. Because what we'll be doing on Monday is starting to talk about homework problems again. And that may spill into Tuesday as well. So if you have questions about the homework problems, look at that list at the very end of the review sheet. There's a list of favorite homework problems that'll make the test. If you don't understand those, we need to talk that out Monday, maybe spilling into Tuesday. If you got it, you got it, we'll take the test. But if you don't got it, you need to figure it out. And the only way you're going to know if you got it or don't got it is to look at those, right? So after you finish the vocab, start to look at the homework, and I'm looking to hopefully have some Monday conversations where people are like, you said page 42, number 8 makes the test, and I don't know how to do that. And then we'll be going through homework Monday, maybe into Tuesday, just a redo of homework. Question about next week? So here's 42. 42, your answer should be an adding problem for number 1. Does anybody for 42, number 1, have an adding problem? Yeah. Correct. And if you name any of that stuff backward, it's fine. So we're saying RS plus RT equals ST, that's true. 2, anybody have a thought on 2? Which is the letter that's between the other letters? Anybody 2 think you got the letter in between the others? It has to be just one letter that's between the other two. It is R. That is for a reason. That's the definition of between. The definition of between is the thing where we've got these adding problems going. That's what 2 is about. 3 is a number. It's -9. That's in the back because it's an odd, so that's not really shocking. 4 is an even, so no one knows until we say it for sure. Anybody 4 have a letter that goes between the others? It is J. 5's in the back, it's a D, so that might not surprise you. 6 is an even, so we aren't sure until we say it which letter for 6 is the one that's in the middle. I think somebody might have whispered it. It's not P. It is R on 6. 7's in the back. If you didn't look it up in the back, I always would encourage you to look it up in the back, not to steal it, but to at least know, hey, I'm pretty smart, or uh-oh, I need to figure this out, or ask somebody. 7 is 2. 8, anybody an opinion on 8?
Next week.
It is 3. Can you name them?
D.
Yep.
E.
Yep.
E.
All true. We did that question another day, so if that felt familiar, it's the second time we've seen that. 9, they add on a 4th point, which is going to get us 6 lines instead, and then they ask you to name them, so you should have 6 names of 6 lines. I don't feel like doing that right now to list them off, but they're there. 10. Thought on 10?
Is it 3?
It is 3 again. The first part of 10 is the same thing as what you did on 8. It would be segment PQ, segment QR, segment PR. There are 3 segments there that got determined by those points. Lines, well, it depends. And they haven't done a good job explaining the word determine. So they just sort of sprang this on you. The word determine means, we'll hit this word officially later in the year. The word determine means it creates something that's like one of a kind. Like 2 points determine a line. Because the line postulate said so. If I have 2 points and I try to connect them with a line, I have that choice. That is the only choice that I have. There are no other ways to do that. I can do it. There's only one way to do it. 2 points determine a line. 3 points don't determine a line. 3 points are like maybes. Why is 3 points a maybe scenario?
Could be a triangle, but it
Could.
could also be one singular line.
If my 3 points are like this, how many lines did I just determine?
One.
1. But if my 3 points are like this, how many lines did I determine?
3.
3. So the second part of 10, the answer would actually be 1 or 3. We don't know. There's not enough information to for sure answer it. So you have to think up every scenario. Okay, how did they not, why did 8 not do that? Why was 8 different than 10?
Not all on a line.
Correct. Number 8, they said, these 3 points are not on a line, so we're in triangle land. But on 10, where they say these are 3 points, you have to think, uh-oh, there's scenarios here. Maybe they're in a triangle shape, or maybe they did line up. The book didn't tell us, so we've got to like analyze this both ways. If they talked about 4 points, they might be like that. They might be like this. There might be 3 in a line and an oddball. You'd have to think up different scenarios. 9, they didn't make you do that, because 9, they said, there's 4 points, there's never 3 of them that line up. You know you're working this like square kind of shape. You didn't have to think through scenarios. But if they did a question like 9 and said, there's just 4 points, how many lines can we make? You'd have to break down the different scenarios and figure out each scenario on its own. It might have 4 answers, depending on whether you're in a box, in a line, in a weird triangle sort of thing. You don't have enough information to go on. Let's pause there. First 10. Anybody first 10, now that you hear what it's supposed to be and you see what you said and you don't like the fact those don't agree with each other, anything I can help explain why it is what I say it is? Okay. 11, we're back to intersection questions. We haven't done an intersection question for a few days. What were the intersection questions about many days ago? We learned intersection, we learned union, we had questions in the book. What was intersection about?
Or these things in common between both sets?
Things that are in common with both sets. Which if you had a list, you could just look at the lists. What if they're talking about geometry, shapey stuff? What are you going to have to do? How did we do intersections with like shapey stuff?
Wasn't it just like 2 lines crossing?
Yeah, you'd have to have some sort of the ability to look at a picture of some sort. So what we're going to have to do on number 11 to do an intersection question is draw ourselves a picture. This was the day I grabbed my colored chalk. What was I doing with colored chalk to show intersections?
You did like a triangle and you colored a line across 3 points and where they made a different color.
Yeah, how did I use colors though to show it? It's like a color blending elementary school art moment almost. I did some yellow and blue. Where yellow and blue touch, you would get green. You know, that's just the way the colors work. So for 11, we're going to have to draw some sort of a sketch. So they want to do an intersection of ray CD and ray DC. So I need a C, I need a D. Let's go yellow can be ray DC or ray CD, they said first. Where would ray CD be drawn? How's that go?
A line going from C
Start
to
at C.
D and then
Go to D.
further on.
And then keep going. So that is ray CD. Then ray DC.
Starts at D,
Starts at D,
goes to C, and
goes to
then
C,
on forever.
and then keeps going. So where's our space where we got a yellow and a blue, and therefore I can green it?
Line segment CD.
Line segment CD. This is the part that had both yellow and blue, and that's a line segment. It started, it ended, it had 2 endpoints. The green thing there is a segment. So my answer would be segment CD for that one. For the intersection questions, we had, for the lists, we had to do those squiggle brackets. For the segments, you can do the squiggle brackets, or you don't have to do the squiggle brackets. As soon as you do this hat, it's got your squiggle brackets covered for you if you don't want to write them. But that's what's going on for 11's first part, is a segment CD. Anybody have confidence in your second half? Well, I guess it's an odd, so it's in the back. The second half of 11 is going to be a ray DC. But you'd have to redraw another yellow and blue, making green kind of drawing to be successful on 11. 12, they ask you from this picture, can the distance from S to T be the same as the distance from S to V?
No.
No. Does anybody know which definition from the reading, or which theorem from the definition, or postulate, or something from the reading that is? Anybody theory on 12, which item of learning that's based on? I'll just leave that one hanging. I don't know if we'll have time to answer all of these, so let me at least give you a little bit of preview tips, and then we'll worry about this one another time. 13 is a lot like 12, I'll say that. 14 is just like the quiz we went over. On the quiz, I had you do a definition of a midpoint, and you used A, B, and C on it. The paper we just read answers to 10, 15 minutes ago. You had done a definition of a midpoint. You had A's, B's, and C's in our quiz. This is that exact same question. They're just using M's, N's, and K's. So you want to do the same kind of a thing, but just using different letters is what we did on the quiz. Anybody have anything in this that you got hung up on? Let's answer people's questions instead of just randomly like piling through. Anybody have something once you got 15 and up that you were like, just had any uh-oh moments? Uh-oh moments, anybody on these? Let's do some answers then anyway. 15 is a no. 16, anybody have confidence in your numbers? So we either have shy people or we do actually have uh-oh moments. One of the two. It is 13, and what was your second one?
Maybe 3.
That's not quite, but 13 is true. Anybody have 13 and something else?
3.
It is regular old 3. 16 will have a 13 and a regular old 3. I would demand from you a picture on 16. So if you're trying to tell me that you want to just imagine this whole picture in your mind, I'm telling you I will not take that. I want you to draw a little, like 3 points on a line, kind of little sketch thing for this. I would also insist on 11, you would have to have a picture for 11. Like I did my yellow plus blue made green. I would demand on 11 to see some sort of a picture drawn for 11. 16 picture draw, 17 picture draw. Answers are in the back on that one. 18 picture draw. Anybody have 18 an opinion? $19 would be a picture draw, that's in the back. 20, I don't know why anybody's not asking about 20, because I'd be pretty doubtful thinking you got number 20 right, very many people, without some sort of assistance from myself or explanation from somebody else in the room. I wouldn't think too many people are hitting it on 20. 21, they did part of the definition of midpoint using this ABC thing, but they didn't do the full definition we did on the quiz. So what you're trying to explain on 21 is that definition's close, but they didn't do it completely perfectly right. They made a mistake on 21 in terms of the way we do it on quiz. 24 would be another for sure picture drawing sort of moment. There again, back to 24, doing intersections. This is another like yellow plus blue makes green kind of series of questions on 24 that you would definitely need a picture for 24.
Mr. Randy,
Yeah.
how do you do
13.
13?
So 13, they're saying we have a point on a line and a positive number. So I would always recommend drawing. You're going to find yourself in geometry like very often needing to sketch something to probably help you understand what it's about better. But we've got a line, we've got a point on the line, they call that P. And they're telling you N is some positive number. So if you don't like thinking of variables, think of your favorite number, 6, whatever. They're asking you, how many points on that line are there that would be 6 or whatever number you thought of away from this. So if we're setting up a coordinate system, number line kind of thing, how many places are there that are 6 away from that? Anybody have an opinion? How many numbers would be 6 away from that? 2. Why 2? 1 to the right, so there might be something over here that's 6 away, but there's also got to be something over there that's 6 away. There'd always be 2 that are that distance away, 1 going that way, 1 going that way. Does that make sense that there's 2 that are a distance away? Like here you are in your row, you're like the point P. If I said to you, how many people are right now 8 feet away from you? 2. One on each side. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's 2 locations that would be some distance away from you. Then you have to try to figure out which definition from the reading did they just use, or a theorem or a postulate. There's something in the reading from 2.5's or 2.6's reading that like, it's about that.